Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. Curry, one-on-one, Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown. The three, steps back, crossover, puts up a three. Rebound James, seconds. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
Cleveland! This is for you!
Welcome in, Cavs fans, to a very, very special edition of The Block, the Shot, the Stop. We're doing it. Game 7, Skylar. We made it here. 2016 NBA Finals. First thing, I'm going to introduce our guest today, Ethan Greenburg. He's in his 18th season of being the play-by-play voice for the Randolph-Macon College women's basketball team. He's a co-host of the Let's Go Crunch, the Cleveland Crunch podcast, and he's the host of the Going Nuclear podcast. Ethan, thanks for joining us for Game 7 of the 2016 NBA Finals.
Wow. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you for the introduction there. Chills still listening to those calls of Mike Breen, and in anticipation of coming on with you guys, rewatching an entire, just this morning, the condensed version of the game, and just so many things that go through your head. Again, I can't believe it's been 10 years already, but it still feels amazing. Just crazy to think about it.
It is, and I watched the condensed version yesterday and decided that wasn't good enough. So then, the full 2-hour game is on YouTube.
Right? Yeah, and I should say that's exactly what I watched. I guess it's condensed though, because they don't have all the commercials. So, yeah. But yes, I that's what I was watching this morning, and that was unreal, because you pick up on so many things that you had I guess you kind of had forgotten about, and
for sure,
and nuts.
For sure. Skylar, before I set up the game, just your, I guess, feelings, your emotions as you did your rewatch of Game 7 of the 2016 Finals.
I don't think there will ever be a Finals that was this impactful to the NBA. This was the last great rivalry in the NBA in recent years, I should say. How much the story arc was with LeBron coming back and winning a championship for Cleveland, taking down the 73 win team. I mean, stretching it to a Game 7 where, I think Game 3 or Game 4, we were all hope is lost. And I don't think there'll ever be you couldn't write a better script for this. And it's just, I have goosebumps now just talking about Game 7, let alone joining you guys in the 2-hour rewatch of Game 7.
100%. To set up the game for anybody who has a little bit fuzzy memory of the last 10 years, though most Cleveland fans remember this game as much as probably any sporting events in history. The Cavs win 93-89 in an absolute rock fight of a game for, the Golden State Warriors being one of the most prolific offenses in NBA history to that point, for Cleveland having some of the most talented offensive players ever in LeBron James, Kyrie Irving. This was an absolute slog of a game. If you're looking for puristic, just beautiful basketball, ball rotation, all stuff, not the game for you. If you're looking for drama, if you're looking for intensity and being on the edge of your seat the entire game, this is the game for you. So we're just go around kind of initial thoughts on the game, maybe, each give a kind of a high level overview, maybe a couple of things that really stood out to you on a rewatch. So Ethan, please, I'll let you start.
All right. So as you mentioned, we're talking about a Warriors team that sets the NBA record, a new standard, at 73 wins and just 9 losses, outdoing the prior record by the Chicago Bulls of 72 and 10 with Michael Jordan. And one thing we should recall here is that even going into the finals, first of all, in 2015, the Cavs come into the finals, no Kevin Love, because Shaggy over there, Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, Kelly Olynyk, ripped his shoulder out of socket. So you're already down a guy. Then in Game 1, Kyrie Irving fractures his kneecap. And they and LeBron James and Matthew Dellavedova are dragging this team to a 2-1 series lead, and they didn't have enough after that. So you come back, that's 2015. All right, 2016, we're good. And the Cavs, for as well, I mean, they fired David Blatt in the middle of the season. We're like 30, what were we? We were like 20 plus games above 500 or 30. I don't know what.
It was like 33 and 60, something like that. Yeah.
Crazy. The record at the time that they got rid of David Blatt, and it was clear, just when they hired David Blatt, it wasn't with the idea that LeBron James was coming back. So then Ty Lue takes over. Ty Lue and the staff and their strategy in the finals with blitzing Steph Curry, all the things that they did. And game 7, I mean, the momentum swings, the emotions in this whole series, the fact that the Cavs get obliterated early in the series. We go down 2-0. We come back, but we beat them by 30 in game 3. We're like, all right, we're good. But game 4, we fall. However, Draymond Green with the I guess
it's a dick kick. That's where we
you know, I mean, the package shot as you know, the package shot, and it was just so his overall attitude. What a goofball! And the thing is, in game 7, if the Warriors win, he's the series MVP.
Yeah,
he was destroying us.
Yep.
In game 7, and you know, I'm kind of losing a little bit of focus here on where we're going, but because it's so easy to do, so many things that happened in that game. And I mean, for the Cavs to fight the way they did, shots weren't falling for either team. The Warriors don't score the final 4.5 minutes of the ball game.
Yep.
I mean, it was absolutely crazy. And again, even rewatching it, just the tension, and you see the unsung heroes, the people that played minor roles but were major.
For sure. Skylar, what about you? What were some of your initial reactions upon your rewatch?
I don't know how LeBron did it, man. Like, played every single minute of this game. Every minute of this game, he played and didn't come off the bench at all. You know, putting up a triple double in game 7 in the most important game in enemy territory. I mean, this hands down goes down as a top 5 LeBron performance. And then just the iconic, I will never, ever get the vision of the block happening. I remember watching it live and losing my mind. Like, I've never seen anybody do that before. Basically start half court and gun it to get up there and make one of the most impactful plays of this series and of my lifetime.
Yeah. I think for me, upon watching this again, you know, you remember a lot about the game because, again, it was such an iconic game, but there are little things that you forget, you know, you forget just how bad, frankly, Klay Thompson and Steph Curry were. There's many reasons for that. Some of the credits have to go to the Cavs. I've said in earlier episodes, to me, it looks like Steph re-aggravated an injury like about halfway through this series. And he didn't never talked about it, but it just looked that way to me, the way he was moving the first 3 games of the series versus the latter half of the series. I think the other thing that stood out to me in a general sense is just how much the Cavs applied the pressure in this game, like how much more physical they were. It's a trait that fans like scream for of the current team to do, is to be more physical, to attack the rim more, to attack the offensive glass. I thought Kevin Love, who was kind of a forgotten man for a lot of this series, he had the concussion in game 2, missed game 3, frankly didn't have as big an impact, came up with like 14 rebounds. I think like 5 of them were on the offensive end. And the Cavs like you said, not many shots were falling and everything, but they just attacked the basket over and over and over. They attempted 25 threes, but I think they, if I remember correctly, like there's only 10 in the second half. So they were just trying to get to the basket, get to the free throw line, get to the offensive boards. And there was the difference in the game is that, usually the team that applies the most pressure and the most force in the playoffs is the one who wins. And that's I feel like that's kind of what happened. Kind of pivoting to like kind of individual performances. And we don't need to go through everybody, but Ethan, I'll give you first choice. Who is one individual performance that you want to highlight?
I mean, again, like you said, we could go through all of these people here, but and you're certainly kind of crazy. Let me just kind of back up here. If you listen to Brian Windhurst all the time, and he talked about it like a lot last year when you're looking at your rotation and how many players are going to play in the playoffs when it matters, how many bench players are you actually going to go?
Yeah.
Basically here, the Cavs only played 3 players off the bench in Game 7. Richard Jefferson, 26 minutes. Mo Williams for 5 minutes.
And he was hold on, Mo Williams. It's one of my notes. He was a -5. He came in, he missed 2 shots immediately, turned the ball over, and then got a wide open lab because he was back on defense.
Right.
That was his contribution. Then never to be seen again in a Cavs jersey.
Right. And then Iman Shumpert, and obviously, I mean, he made a clutch play in the first half. He hit the only 3-pointer for the Cavs in the first half, and it was a 4-point play. I mean, I guess without giving away something that we were going to go to a little bit later, if we're talking about, we were talking about MVP of the game and then unsung heroes. See, I don't want to give away my unsung hero here because I think that if you want to talk about an individual performance, I think that Kevin Love, really, like you went to him, he certainly... He did so much. He only scores 9 points. Like you said, 14 boards, 4 of them on the offensive glass. He made the defensive play at the end, and he locked down Steph Curry. And Curry was doing everything he could to get him out of the way. And he I think he got him up on the air a couple of moments there, but couldn't pull the trigger. Just amazing stuff. So Kevin Love deserves a lot of credit there. And maybe if when people talk about the big 3, the Love, Irving, James trio, he kind of sometimes takes a back seat. But yeah, Kevin Love, amazing performance.
For sure. Skylar, who is one player that you would want to highlight from the game?
Well, I want to pick off of what Ethan said. Like, Kevin Love finished the game plus 19, only scoring 9 points. He was the defensive stalwart that really held Curry and Steph and Clay to 6 to 24 from the 3-point line. Like, he was that perimeter defender in this series. But my highlight, I kind of led into it, but it's LeBron. Like, it has to be LeBron. 3 blocks, 2 steals, 11 assists, 11 rebounds, 27 points, and just all, like I said, all the storylines around it, which is what the league is, but all the storylines around just LeBron coming back and winning Cleveland its first title ever, like fulfilling the promise. Like, it was absolutely everything. And you can tell that his aggression on the floor and the way that he played, like, showed that that's what he was gunning for. It wasn't just for a title. It was for Cleveland's title.
Okay, so for me in my individual performance, I went a little bit off the board because I actually just thought you two were going to take Kyrie and LeBron. So I did a few other ones. Individual performance that I think, and this could go in unheralded hero of the game, Steve Kerr. I thought Steve Kerr coached a terrible game. Starting Festus Ezeli. Festus Ezeli was absolutely terrible in this game. The fact that he stuck with like the death lineup at times when the Cavs were absolutely killing them on the boards. I feel like he didn't match up rotations, and I thought that they had a real advantage with Leandro Barbosa. I know he's a role player, but he was phenomenal in parts of the series. Kerr only plays in 4 minutes, and with as much as Steph and Thompson were struggling, I thought, Steve Kerr, a little bit of a individual hero for the Cavs in this game. But on the Cavs side, I feel like I should highlight Kyrie since we didn't say it, but we'll talk about Kyrie plenty. I thought J.R. Smith was phenomenal in this game, and he could go into the unheralded kind of hero that we were talking about soon. But not only he was so good defensively, chasing around Curry and Clay, and I thought that's where his biggest impact was. But he had the best 2 minutes of this game at the beginning of the third quarter. The Warriors were trying to run away with it. They got up to, I want to say, as an 8-10 point lead. He rattles off 8 straight points, goes on a personal 8-0 run right at the beginning of the third quarter to bring the Cavs back even in the game. And I just thought JR is a guy that gets talked about less, but his performance in this game was absolutely crucial.
Yeah, I mean, you come out of the locker room down by 7 points. You're down 47, I believe you're down 47-40 or 49-42. You're headed into the third. You get the long two-pointer by JR. Then you get a shot by Tristan Thompson. You're down by 3. Clay answers on the other end. You're down 52-46. Then it's 54-46. Then you get a couple of threes, and bingo, bango, bongo, you are even at 54. But right off of that, the Warriors rattle off 5 more points. They're up by 5 again. Yeah. It went back and forth, and it was kind of crazy. But yeah, J.R. Smith, as much as fans are going to remember him for not knowing the score in the 2018 finals, and the fact that, we really, but however, what is it? George Hill and his lack of inability to hit a free throw, too. Let's not forget about that. And the fact that after that game, that, we're talking about impact of J.R. Smith, and as much as we love him and his shirtlessness in the parade, that caused LeBron to be so pissed off. He broke his hand after game 1 of the 2018 finals. Nobody reported on it until after the fact. And the fact is, this finals changed so much of the NBA landscape because the Warriors were on the cusp of losing to the Thunder in the Western Conference Finals.
Yep.
They came back from 3-1 down against Kevin Durant and the Thunder, and that was Durant, Harden, Westbrook.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then they lose in the finals, to the Cavs, and in the offseason, due to the way the salary cap was and the way it changed, they end up getting Kevin Durant, and ultimately that propels them for the next couple of years to win the titles back-to-back over the Cavs. And then the NBA had to change the way the salary cap and the apron, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, just kind of crazy stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, well, we're going to get into a couple of questions about this game, which will leave plenty of discussion. Skylar, you're Mr. Optimistic, so I want you to go first on this one. Coming into this game, to set it up, the Cavs are down 3-1. It's been a roller coaster of a series. They're going into game 7. They're playing it in Oracle Arena. How were you feeling going into this game? What was your confidence level going into this game that the Cavs would actually be able to pull this off?
Super high, but
not surprised.
Super high because of they were mounting the comeback. Like they mounted it all the way, pushed it to a game 7, and you could tell that this team had the Warriors rattled. I mean, they were in their head, they were under their skin. You could tell that this Cavs team was getting to them mentally, and you could see a lot of things like Clay and Steph playing horrible to the point where Steve Kerr, to your credit, has to roll out like a 10-man rotation to try things, to try to stop things.
Yeah.
To Ethan's credit, they really only had Draymond, who was the consistent contributor up and down in every game of this series. And that's why I felt so high on the Cavs coming into this game. I also was preparing myself for heartbreak too, but I didn't go to the bars to watch this game.
No,
I had a buddy that had a conference room at his office, and that's where we went and watched it in seclusion because I would have not been fun if they lost.
That's so funny. Ethan, what about you? What was your confidence level coming into game 7?
To quote the great Dean Wormer in Animal House, 0.0. Mr. Blutarski. Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life. No. Okay. I mean, I'm not sure how many of the heartbreaking things you had seen in your time as a Cleveland sports fan, as a Cavs fan, watching Michael Jordan beat us with the shot, having Michael Jordan beat us on the shot a second time, watching the drive, the fumble, all of those things. And so I always go in kind of with a very low expectation because I'm gonna be like feeling, upset if they lose, but I want to be prepared for it. To kind of use a quote by somebody else: "Prepare for the worst, hope for the best."
Yep.
And as I mentioned, might have mentioned, being down in the Richmond, Virginia area since 2003, kind of amazingly enough, I only actually saw LeBron play one game in a Cleveland uniform live. And that was because he was a rookie after I'd moved. And one year, like maybe his second season or so, I think I was home during the holidays, and we went and saw a game against the Bulls, I believe. But I had very low expectations, and my son at the time was 5, and so he's up in bed. It's a Sunday night because it's Father's Day, right? And my daughter, she had just turned 3, so she's in bed. And then my wife, she's not from Ohio. I met her here. She's from Wilmington, North Carolina. So she's sitting in the room with me, but it's like I'm on pins and needles. and the stress that is going on inside of me watching this thing, and obviously not trying to wake up children by yelling or anything. It's just stress the whole time.
Yeah. I fell right between you guys. I was a 50-50, and I was thinking about this right out. So I thought the Cavs had the momentum. They had momentum, and they had the best player in the world. When you have the best player in the game, I'm always going to give you a good chance to win the game, right? That being said, the Warriors just set the regular season record for wins. They were the most prolific regular season team of all time. They won the title the year before, beating the Cavs, and they were at home, where they are just absolutely incredible. So I went in the game thinking this is a coin flip to me. I was hopeful, but I wouldn't say I was necessarily confident. And again, I mentioned this a couple of times through the series, but like, if you go back and rewatch, I'm telling you, something happened to Steph Curry halfway through the series, game 3, game 4, something like that. He started not moving nearly as well, and mostly like he just stopped playing with enthusiasm. Like he's one of the most like characteristic players ever. Just like always seems to, kind of have this crazy levels of energy and everything. And I'm between the fact that the momentum, the fact that the Cavs had LeBron, and the fact that I didn't think Steph Curry looked right for about 3 games in a row, I was feeling like I said, maybe 60-40 confidence level in Cleveland. Ethan, I'll turn it back to you. We're already throwing out some, but everybody's just got to name one. Who was your unsung hero for this game for the Cavs?
T-Tops. Tristan Thompson. That's why I was trying to kind of save that. Okay. Tristan Thompson was a beast. And not, the physicality, playing on the boards. You talked about the death lineup and the fact that the Cavs had, sometimes they left Thompson out there, and they're switching on defense, and he is playing his butt off. 32 minutes, 9 points. He's 3 of 3 from the field. Big 3 field goal attempts. Crazy. But 3 of 4 at the line. Huge thing. And they were showing the stats during the series. He had some tough games at the line. And he just did a phenomenal job. Tristan Thompson, really, to me, was kind of an unsung hero. Great performance by Tristan Thompson in Game 7 for sure.
Skylar, what about you? No, it's a great one. Skylar, go ahead.
I don't know how much of an unsung. I've kind of touched to it already, but mine was Kevin Love for not really. He wasn't the points. He wasn't contributing in the scoring very much, but being the defensive stalwart that we needed, especially as the game got closer and closer. Ethan pointed out like that possession against Curry, where Curry used every trick in his bag to try and shake Kevin Love, and couldn't shake Kevin Love. And there were a lot of possessions like that. He led the entire game for both teams in plus minus because of And he doesn't have the counting stat to go with it, other than rebounds. He had 14 amazing rebounds, but like it's not like he was put 40 on him or anything. He was getting it done on the defensive side, and not blocks, not steals, but like changing, how they move, or ending a drive where they have to kick it out to Curry or Clay and at a final second shot clock. That's why I think Kevin Love is my kind of unsung hero for a lot of the dirty work that you don't get stats for.
No, I think that's a great call. Honestly, I already talked about who mine would be with J.R. Smith and that run that he made in the third quarter. So Kyrie Irving is never going to be an unsung hero, but one specific thing he did, it was in the third quarter coming out of halftime. JR went on that 8-0 run right at the beginning of the third quarter, and then Kyrie dominated the rest of that quarter. Like, everyone's going to remember Kyrie for the shot to win the game, which we're going to get to soon. But like, his third quarter was absolutely phenomenal. He was relentless. He played all 12 minutes. He had 12 points, couple rebounds, a steal, but he just attacked the rim mercilessly in that third quarter. And I actually pulled out some quotes for this game, one of which I'll use now, from Kyrie Irving on what his mindset was going into the second half. He said, all I was thinking in the back of my mind was Mamba mentality, just Mamba mentality. That's all I'm thinking. And which, it's a little goofy, but it also makes sense. He's like, I'm going to, basically what he's saying is, I'm going to come out and be aggressive. If we go down, we're going to go down with me being aggressive. When we're down, as Ethan said, like 7 on the start of the third quarter. And that third quarter of him in a game that there wasn't much pretty offense, some of the drives he made some tough, like left-handed falling away from the basket floaters off the window. Absolutely incredible. Skylar, I'll go back to you. These are going to be 2 real tough questions, but I'll let you go first. Who's the MVP of this game?
LeBron. It's got to be LeBron. I mean, he played every minute of this game, which he probably won't do ever again. Even though I know he did it in 17 and 18 as well, but to play every single minute of this game, and I'm pretty sure he's played every single minute of game 6 and in game 5, to come out here, give a triple double, the block heard around the world. I mean, it's got to be LeBron.
Ethan, do you agree?
Yeah, I do agree. I mean, obviously, as you pointed out, Kevin, Kyrie was absolutely amazing, not just for the shot that put the Cavs ahead for good, but all of the other things that he did, the intangibles. And as you were talking about that left-handed shot again, and rewatching the game, Mark Jackson joking about him shooting it left-handed, and he said, "I once shot a shot left-handed on a dare from a coach named Jeff Van Gundy," and such. But no, it was absolutely LeBron. And let me throw this in as an extra unsung hero. The seamstress, or the person from the Cleveland Browns that fixed those terrible jerseys. Because if you recall earlier in the season with those ridiculous jerseys, he ripped the sleeves. He was so pissed off with those things. Might I say Adidas horrible. Those uniforms stunk.
Don't say it now. They're all Adidas guys on the Cavs nowadays. But I agree with you guys. It has to be LeBron. I don't think we've run through his stats yet, but like 27 points, 11 rebounds, 11 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks. And I had a couple other quotes that I think would be good to share now. Like Kyrie Irving on LeBron in Game 7 and for the whole series. He's like, he's the Beethoven of basketball. I've never seen a guy be able to compose an entire game the way LeBron does. And then Richard Jefferson had, I thought, the best quote about LeBron. He's like, not many people in the history of sports have said, everyone get on my back, the city, the state, the organization, the team, get on my back. If we fail, I'll take the blame, but I'm going to be the leader. How many people have ever said that? I can't think of too many that have put that type of pressure on themselves and delivered more times than that. And that's who LeBron was. There's pieces of this game you can watch, and it feels like maybe LeBron's not having the best game. And then you look at the stats, and then you look back at all the plays, and like he did control this game. For no other reason, they absolutely wanted to slow this game down. While they ran with the Warriors for parts of the series, this game they dictated the pace, and LeBron was the one who dictated the pace. He said, if we're going to win this game, the score is going to be under 100. And if he basically got the Warriors to play the game that the Cavs needed them to play to win a Game 7 in Oracle Arena. And so for all those reasons, I completely agree. Now, Ethan, I'll let you answer this last question first, and then we'll get towards our wrap up. One of the three best candidates for this answer are the three Mike Breen calls leading into our podcast. But what do you think the defining play of this game was?
Wow. It actually, you could probably talk about those three specific plays: the block, the shot, the stop.
Yep.
If you really want, I mean, seriously, any one of those three could be. Of those three, I mean, maybe the block was the most impactful because it set it up for the end. Because there are so many other moments in this game, and it wasn't just both teams at moments where guys are looking like they're headed wide open for a shot. And somebody comes in and makes the stop or comes in on defense, and all of a sudden they're having to readjust. They can't get a shot up. So many times like that. I could talk about Steph Curry and his stupid behind the back pass that went out of bounds with under 5 minutes to go. Yep. What a dumb play that was. Like, for all of his, as you talked about, I think, Kevin, his charisma and such, he was taken out of his game. And we saw that in Cleveland in Game 6, where LeBron got him so pissed off, he ends up intentionally or otherwise throwing his mouthpiece into the crowd and getting ejected because LeBron just said, "Sit down, little boy," and manhandled him. So, it's. I think that certainly the block has got to be the best because the most important play right there, the fact that you saw him time up the steps, LeBron. And actually, you wanted to talk about unsung here, J.R. Smith. The fact, and LeBron talked about it. I think they had said that he had told him, like, look, just don't foul him. Don't foul him. Make him go back, whatever it is. He slowed up Iggy just enough that LeBron was able to catch it and make that block, the chase down block, unreal.
Yeah. Skylar, what about you? What do you think the defining play of the game was?
Absolutely agree on the block. Like I said, this is probably the best play I've seen in my lifetime. And he did this all series. I think he had like 4 or 5 chase down blocks on this series, but this one was the most impactful. You know that it's the most impactful when they do a sports science episode around it. Like how unbelievable or inhuman it has to be.
Sports science was awesome. I know. Why did that go away? All right, go ahead, please.
But if they have to do a sports science episode around how absolutely inhuman and impossible it would have been to do that, that's how you know, like, it's absolutely the best.
So I agree with you both. I think, and I think it's because you don't see many game-saving blocks. You see more game-winning shots, right? But like, to give Kyrie his flowers, like in a game where it seemed like nobody could hit a shot for long periods of time except for Draymond, he absolutely nails a step back 3 at the most critical moment. So give him. But I had a couple other like runner-ups at least when to put out. I think, well, it's not the defining play. A very key play in this game was when LeBron in the first half blocked Curry going to the basket into like the third row of the stands, and just stared at him, and they all got chest to chest. And I thought, like, just as a tone setter and everything, like, we're here. I'm not going anywhere. He did that to Curry earlier in the series as well, but I thought that was a good one. And then, while I don't think we could, because the title of our podcast name is long enough, we can't be the block, the shot, the stop, the free throw. We don't talk about like LeBron actually stepping up and hitting the free throw right after I thought he broke his hand, the way he reacted, and he misses the first, and then he hits the one to essentially seal the game, make it a 4-point game with 10 seconds left. But I'm with you guys. The block, it's one of, I've said before, I think it's the single greatest basketball play I've ever seen. The fact that if you look, he steps on the half court line and then only takes 2 more steps before he jumps to block. Just the amount of speed, the amount of force, the amount of athleticism he showed on that play. to this day, I don't know if I've ever seen a more impressive play in all of sports than the block. Well, no, that's all great, and we're gonna wrap up with and Skylar and I finally get to do this. So for those of you who have listened to any of the first 6 episodes of the series, we always let our guests come on and give kind of their story, where they were, how they reacted to watching Game 7, and in this case, Cleveland actually winning the championship. So let Ethan go first, and then Skylar and I will get to share ours. So Ethan, please take it away.
As I mentioned before, I'm down in the Richmond, Virginia area, and have been here since August of 2003. And growing up a Cleveland fan and seeing the heartbreak and disappointment at numerous occasions for the Cavs and the Browns, and even to an extent, and the Indians. I mean, 97 World Series was just heartbreaking. That day we spent the early part of the day over at some other family friends, my son's friends, parents, whatever. We were hanging out, and I spent the time watching the game in my living room with my wife there. She really, she was disinterested third party, but she was there, but I'm on pins and needles, and I don't know. I think I probably was pretty quiet for as much of a big mouth blabbermouth as I was.
Yeah.
Watching that game, and just sitting there, and I don't know if I was the type. I mean, I know there are people that were yelling and screaming and running in the streets or whatever they were doing in downtown Cleveland. I don't think I was that way. I think there were probably some text messages and exchanged and phone calls, and I immediately started thinking, I got to get home.
Yeah,
I got to get home for this celebration. And by Monday afternoon or whatever, when we found out when the parade was, I said, I'm getting home. And my son at 5 years old, we hadn't traveled. I hadn't taken him to Ohio because it's a long, 8 hours.
Right.
And I said, we're going, and we went, and we were there. And I mean, just that championship parade. I was there with my dad and my brother and my son and my oldest niece, and it's a memory I'll never forget. It is something I will never forget, and as much as I don't know how much my son will remember at 5 years old, it's something that we can show him later. I know it's probably kind of a little bit ridiculous, but actually we went to the Indians game that night against I think they were playing they were playing the Rays that night. And we went to the game. My son had never been to Ohio. We went to the Indians game and picked up some confetti, some of the wine and gold, the red and yellow confetti. And I've got that in a Ziploc bag saved from that day. So it was an incredible time watching the game, the aftermath. So amazing. And I mean, even thanks to, I got to give a shout out, my mom. She went to Dick's Sporting Goods and waited in line to get the locker room series shirts.
Yeah.
And
cool.
So just amazing stuff.
That's awesome. No, thanks for sharing, Ethan. All right, Skylar, after all this time, what were you doing when the Cleveland Cavaliers won the 2016 NBA Finals?
Well, like I mentioned in earlier episodes, I'm right out of college. I went to the University of Akron. So I'm in Akron. I'm in LeBron's backyard. Okay. So I'm just out of college, maybe a couple of months, and I'm going to the bar every single game of this series, as a 22-year-old kid does.
Right.
But this one, I couldn't do it. I had to go. I had to be kind of secluded because I was not going to be fun. I knew I wasn't going to be fun. I was going to be on pins and needles the whole time. Like, I think I drank 2 beers the whole game because I'm just like locked in. So my buddy, he was working at some place in Akron that he was able to get us in to their like conference room or whatever, which is huge, 100-inch TV. They had drinks, they had food and everything like that. So it was just me, my buddy, my other buddy, and his girlfriend, and that was it. We sat in this office building watching Game 7, and then as soon as the buzzer hits, start losing our minds. And
sure,
when I tell you, like, we looked out the window everybody, it was like a fire went off in every building on Main Street. Like everybody started leaving the bars and flooding the streets and like just in pure like ecstasy and celebration. And we get out of the office building and I'm on top of my buddy's car, like giving out high fives, like down the street as we're trying to like make it through the town. I mean, it was incredible. It is a memory I will never, ever forget. Like, and just like, I'm having goosebumps now talking about it, let alone living it.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. So my story, I actually have to go back to the very first game of the season to set up my Game 7 experience. So I live in Chicago, and that year a friend asked if I wanted to go and halvesies on Bulls season tickets. We ended up splitting between 3 guys. I got 15 games. We did a lottery to see which games. I win the lottery. I get the pick. Cleveland plays in Chicago opening night. And like literally like biggest game in the NBA because it was like, you know, LeBron, Derrick Rose, Obama's there. And my wife is from Cleveland, and so but not a basketball fan at all. And she said, "No, you're taking me to this game," because frankly, we were getting married in 2 months, and she wasn't thrilled that I just spent thousands of dollars on basketball tickets without running it by her. Oops.
Fair critique.
We went to the game. Actually had a great time. The Bulls won, but it was a really good game, really good atmosphere, just good way to kick off the NBA season. And then flash forward to Game 7 of the finals. I actually months before had bought tickets to a country music festival in Chicago called like Lake Shake. It's like on the lake of Chicago. Not even the biggest country music fan. It was more for the vibes. But we had tickets all the night before also when the Cavs didn't play, and I went and scouted out. I was assuming I was going to miss it or just skip the festival to watch a game, but they actually they set up a tent as a sports bar and had a bunch of like TVs there. I'm like, okay, this could work. So my wife and I went. We listened to country music during the day. Then we went into that tent, and I tell you, it's the only time I've ever seen my wife scream at like a TV over a basketball game. And she like to see her get so into it just because she's more of a baseball person. She's a huge Guardians fan and everything, but just, you know, the Cleveland in her having never seen a championship before and getting into it and then getting to experience something like I'm passionate about that she became passionate about, at least in that moment. And then they win. And then I didn't even remember that there was country music playing. I had to look up who was even playing that day. I actually looked it up today. It was Jason Aldean, which I'm glad I didn't see. I hate him. But anyway, it was an amazing kind of story with my wife is that she was mad at me for buying Bulls tickets. We go to the very first game of the year because they're playing the Cavs and LeBron and Kyrie and everything. And then the season ends with her and I like jumping up and down inside this like makeshift tent sports bar at a country music festival. So, really, really good memories, obviously, all the way around for all of us. Ethan, thanks again for being here, man. Appreciate. We asked a bunch of people. People were intimidated to do Game 7. I think people thought they might get emotional about it. They don't like. So appreciate you coming on. This is the most fun game to talk about. So thanks for coming on the BSS podcast.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. I was surprised and pleasantly surprised that I got to come on and talk about Game 7. I mean, so many things, so many ups and downs in the roller coaster ride that was this NBA Finals, and to be able to come on and talk about the penultimate, Game 7 is just amazing. It's something that I will never forget. I'm hoping that we don't have to wait another 50 plus years for another major sports championship in the city of Cleveland. Certainly, as Ohioans, having the Buckeyes and seeing them win the college football playoff national championship, and I guess I've seen 3 in my lifetime. So to have that helps, even though I'm not an OSU grad, of course, being born and raised in Ohio, I'm an OSU guy. Sorry, Skylar, I'm a Kent State guy.
Who can't read, can't write, Kent State.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I'm like, can we get a little more original than that? Like, is that really what it is? I mean, quite frankly, I think I'd like to look at the GPA of the 2 schools and figure it out. No, but guys, thank you so much for having me on. This has been fantastic. It's great to share these stories with fellow Cavs fans because it's something that I'll never forget. So thank you very much for having me on.
Of course. Yeah. I also hope it's not 50 years. It's up to Jimmy Harden now. But not only do I want to thank Ethan, I want to thank all of our guests, Zach Weiss, Brandon Towers, Bob Schmidt, Luca from Real Cast Fans, Tony Pesta. Thank you all the guys that came on. Thank all of you for listening and doing a little bit of revisionist history, going down nostalgia road with us here over the NBA All-Star break. Hopefully it gave you something to do while there's absolutely no sports on for several days here. And for that, we're going to get out of here. Project's done. It was a lot of fun, but now we're going to take a little bit of time off and focus back in on the 25-26 James Harden, Donovan Mitchell-led Cleveland Cavaliers. So for Skylar Webker, I am Kevin Lynch. Thanks as always for listening. And as always,
go Cavs.